A number of years ago, first with 2008, we got into a monetary situation, of course, where we're printing money, creating a lot of debt, and monetizing it. And then populism emerged around the world. And President Trump, who was more of a populist, emerged. And it affected tax policy, it affected markets in a lot of different ways. And that led me to realize that there are three big things that are going on in the world that are dominant. And then COVID came along. Those three forces are, first, the long-term debt and monetary cycle, which I mean the creating a lot of debt, monetizing it, and the implications of that, which reverberate through the system in terms of all the markets and everything. The second is this conflict, this polarization, this wealth gap, and how we're at each other's throats. And I looked at the wealth gap, and I looked at a lot of measures of conflict going back in time, and I found that they were in the 1930 to 45 period. The printing of money, as I described, the debt monetization was also in the 1930 to 45 period. And the third big influence is the rise of China, so the rise of a great power, challenging an existing great power, the United States. And that has enormous implications. As an investor, I think what are the relative appeals of the markets, but it has a lot of implications. It's not just a trade war. So the markets and everything were reverberating the trade war, the technology war, the geopolitical war in Taiwan and the South China Seas, and then also the capital war. We're seeing that emerge. So those three factors required me to then go back in history. And I wanted to study the rises and declines of reserve currency empires. So I needed to go back far enough that I would have a few. So I had to go back 500 years so I could see the rise and decline of the Dutch Empire and its reserve currency, the rise and decline of the British Empire and its reserve currency, the rise and beginning of decline for the United States and its reserve currency, and China.
If you could narrow it down to one thing, what would be the biggest issue that we need to tackle first?
Well, of course, the biggest issue goes back to one's approach to life. It depends at what level you want me to answer the question. But the biggest issue is be radically open-minded. You have to make your own decisions, and you have to make them well by taking in well, not by being closed-minded, and having the character to do it, and then going back and understanding histories and how that the patterns of histories, and then take in from the people around you, the smartest people you know, the information and triangulate with them well to make that decision. That is, I would say, the overarching at any time, the most important things anybody could do. As for now, I would say to realize that these changes take a global view, make comparisons of countries, put things in perspective. And then if I narrow down to investing, so I'm getting more specific in answering your question, it would be first to realize that cash is not a safe investment. It's a very risky investment, and know how to diversify well. And when I mean diversify well, I mean diversify globally, in countries, in markets, and in currencies.